Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you the book, Crucial Conversations, which provides deep insights into some seemingly difficult conversations we often encounter in daily life and work, as well as how to become a communicator with high EQ to resolve conflicts and achieve mutual understanding in these crucial conversations. What are crucial conversations? In our lives, we often come across conversations where the two sides have very different viewpoints. High risks exist, and emotions run high. These types of conversations that greatly impact our lives yet are difficult to handle are what we refer to as crucial conversations today. The authors of this best-selling book, Crucial Conversations, through observation and analysis of thousands of high EQ individuals, summarize that crucial conversations have the following three characteristics. The first characteristic is that there exists a huge gap between the viewpoints of the two sides in the conversation. This easily leads to divergences and opposition. For example, the employee wants to transfer to another department, but the supervisor thinks he must stay in the original position. Such divergences will inevitably lead to conflicts. The second characteristic is that high risks exist in the conversation. The third characteristic is that emotions of both sides in the conversation are highly intense. For example, an angry customer making complaints, or two sides in business negotiations sticking to their own grounds and refusing to compromise, already falling into a deadlock. In short, when a conversation demonstrates hugely different viewpoints, high risks, and intense emotions, it becomes the crucial conversation we are going to discuss today. After knowing what crucial conversations are, let's look at why we often underperform in crucial conversations. The reason lies in our genes. The number one priority for any organism is survival, so when facing danger, our instinctive choices are only fight or flight. When crucial conversations show signs of differences in viewpoint, risks in outcome, and intensified emotions, our brains interpret them as threats, switching to instinctive reactions, secreting adrenaline, getting ready to fight or flee. At this time, our ability to think rationally is affected and we can hardly communicate normally. That's why we become helpless and unable to cope in crucial conversations. So when facing crucial conversations, how should we resolve conflicts and communicate rationally and effectively? This book provides us with the following four valuable suggestions. Firstly, reject the foolish choices and focus on the real purpose of the conversation. When we encounter crucial conversations, we often have two instinctive, foolish choices: either endure in silence, letting things develop in an uncontrollable direction, or fight back fiercely against the other side. Neither of these choices leads to good results. Therefore, we need to remind ourselves constantly to focus on the real purpose of the conversation. What do we ultimately want to achieve from this conversation? Once we find ourselves starting to endure or fight fiercely, it means we have deviated from the purpose of the conversation and need to immediately pull it back on track. The authors also teach us a specific way of speaking called contrasting, which is, first state your real goal, then describe the result you don't want to see, and finally propose a solution that considers all parties. For example, when the company asks to cut costs, an employee questions the appropriateness of the boss decorating a luxury office. If the boss fights back directly, the conversation will become a meaningless quarrel. If the boss endures in silence, the employee will also feel he is being hypocritical. The right way to start is, first make clear your real goal is to implement the cost reduction plan. Then state you don't want others to feel that you are asking everyone else to be thrifty while you yourself are extravagant. And finally propose a constructive solution, such as reducing the office decoration budget while continuing to push forward the cost reduction plan, and ask the employees what they think. This demonstrates a humble attitude while also pulling the conversation back on track of its original purpose. Secondly, create a safe atmosphere for the conversation. We often think that being justified and logical can convince the other side, but in crucial conversations, feeling safe is more important than reasoning. Because only when people feel safe and respected can they open their hearts and speak freely. Once the other party becomes silent or agitated, it indicates the conversation atmosphere is unsafe. At this point, we need to temporarily put aside the differences and first restore the safety of the atmosphere. Specific methods can be apologizing, indicating understanding of the other side's feelings, affirming their ideas to eliminate misunderstandings. We can also identify common goals, for example, by asking what results the other party hopes for, and find a solution that benefits both sides. No matter which method, the purpose is to help the other side rebuild a sense of safety and trust in this conversation, rather than competing to win or lose in a debate. Thirdly, start from the facts, avoid getting emotional. When we make judgments, we tend to fall into distorted psychological patterns like victim mentality, villain mentality, and make far-fetched interpretations of the other side's words and deeds, thus intensifying emotions. To avoid this, we should start from objective facts, first describe what actually happened, then express our feelings, and finally make suggestions or proposals. This can maximize avoiding unnecessary misunderstandings and disputes. Lastly, understand the other party's real motivations. Many misunderstandings stem from not knowing the other side's real thoughts. To resolve differences, we need to guide the other party to open up and tell their true aims. Specific methods are: first ask about their viewpoint, then confirm their feelings, re-describe what you've heard, and finally take initiative to elicit their true motivations. When both sides can understand the goals each hopes to achieve, the problem will be readily solved. In summary, crucial conversations appear daunting, but by avoiding foolish choices, creating a sense of security, sticking to the facts and guiding the other party to open up, we can diffuse many seemingly intractable differences. I hope these methods can help you all become communicators with high EQ and get along harmoniously with others. If you also want to hone your communication skills and handle various interpersonal relationships, I highly recommend reading this book. Thank you for watching. See you next time.